those of you who don't know me, I'm Jodie Marsh and I'm the Commercial Director for Elite Franchise. Elite Franchise exists to support and connect the franchising community, from brands and experts through to aspiring and existing franchises, helping people to make informed decisions about franchises. So, franchising is often presented as the dream. Freedom, flexibility, the chance to be your own boss, and with the backing of a proven system. And for many people, that's absolutely true. But today isn't about us selling you the dream. It's about us answering the important question, how close is that dream to the actual reality? Because what looks great on paper doesn't always feel the same when you're in it. Franchising, whilst incredibly powerful, isn't the right fit for everybody. So over the next 30 minutes, we're going to give you an honest, real-world view of what it actually takes, not just to buy a franchise, but to build a business within one. And the aim is simple, whether you're in the room or you're watching on demand at home, to give you the insight and confidence to decide whether this is the right path for you. So let's get into it. I'm going to introduce everybody first of all, just so in case you can't see the boards behind me. So down at the end there, we've got Tim Morris from Franchise HQ. We've then got Salman Niazi, wave Salman, from Cottage, who's here to give us a real-life franchisee perspective. Lisa Stead from Stagecoach, Drama Kids. David Glover from Caremark. And Alan Catlett from the ISA. So hello, everybody. I feel like I needed a whoop then. Thank you. So we'll get straight into it. So Tim, I'm going to come to you first of all, right? What are people really buying into emotionally when they choose a franchisee?
That's a great question, Jodie.
Tim, fish your
Hold
mic.
up here. Got better? Everybody can hear me. It's a great question. There's a lot of emotion when you choose to go into business by yourself or even as a franchisee. Many people believe that emotion is about freedom, it's about gaining a financial independence, it's about finding their own route in life. That's far from the reality of what being a business owner is. Yeah, I've been a bit dusty into belt, but emotionally they're finding peace very often. The fantastic thing of getting away from the corporate world, and also that freedom of finding their own happiness.
So Salman, over to you. What was the dream you brought into and how close was that actually to the reality?
So, I mean, for us, Cottage was very simple. It was basically to be one of the leading franchises in London. And in the Fortune Cottage, we were an established corporation with also full of ESA. And so the main service a little next to forward is to be, like a leading franchises, the branch in London. And I'll say they've been key as well, we've done it. There have been, consistent periods as well. There have been a lot of ups and downs. I'll say the dream, what we call this, the dream we put into reality. I say we did make it, but there's still a way to go. But also, I'm very happy with the progress we've made so far.
So David, what do new franchisees often think they're signing up for versus what it actually is?
I think that most franchisees, when they come into it, think almost the hard work starts when they do their due diligence and investigate what franchise is suitable for them. But the reality is that the hard work actually starts the moment you sign the franchise agreement, the moment you open your doors. And that's a real crucial issue. I've seen in the past, Jodie, times where people have bought the franchise, they think that they've achieved their dream, they've gone out and bought a brand new big car from day one. And that's not the truth. Franchising is difficult. Franchise requires blood, sweat and tears, and it needs commitment. And it only starts when you sign the franchise agreement, open your doors, in my opinion.
It's really good insight, David, because I think a lot of people here will probably appreciate your honesty about that. So Lisa, what stops people almost from committing to franchising, and should it really, or?
Okay, I think there's three things. I can't make it much closer to my mouth. I might eat it. I'm shouting. I think there's three things really that can prevent someone becoming a franchisee, and I actually think all three of them should stop you from becoming a franchisee. The first one, I think you haven't got enough money. Don't go into this thinking, I'll get it as I'm going. You want to go in well-funded. You want to go in assuming you're not going to make any money in the first 12 months. So that shouldn't be the case of most franchises, but you should go in believing that. The second one is that you go in with not enough time. So you think it's going to be the dream. It's going to be, I'm getting away from the corporate life. I'm not going to be doing the long days anymore. Yes, you are. You're running a business. It's tough. It is hard work. It's worth it, but it is hard work. So if you haven't got the money and you haven't got the time, they should be things that you do consider for not buying a franchise. And then the third one is the passion. If you don't love what you're going into, if you don't have some sort of thing that resonates with what you're picking, and you're just picking it from a financial point of view or just picking it from a lifestyle point of view, when it gets really tough, you're going to lose your love for it, and it's going to be really, really challenging. So time, money, and passion. And if you have got any inclination that one of those isn't right, don't do it.
So Tim, I'm just going to come back to you for a second, just remember to kiss your mic. How does that compare to real life? Because I know you deal with a lot of franchisees on a day-to-day. How does what people have said compare to the real life experiences of the franchisees?
I can resonate with exactly what Lisa said and also what David said. It is hard work. A lot of franchisees enter franchising not realizing how hard it is. Being in business, whether it be your own business and your own steam or a franchise, is hard work. And those three elements which Lisa has just mentioned are absolutely spot on. We see it time and time again. Some franchisees do enter the sector without sufficient capital, without the passion, and without the time. And that doesn't lead to successful business.
So, Salman, what does day-to-day actually look like for you, and what surprised you the most about franchising?
Yeah, so the day-to-day mostly is before the doors open, you have to pack the day. You have to make sure everything's in order, machines are running maintenance, health and safety checks, the staff all around it, the mental bill checks are done, also prep for the food, make sure it's all out on the display ready, our machines are on, any, sides, they're all, well displayed, ready to be put on. And I'll say the thing that's the most is there's been times we go from a very slow paced day, everyone's, taking their time, doing their thing. And then next thing you know, you've got a queue outside, expands outside your shop, and they're trying to get, food done within the hour of lunch. And then it becomes a whole rush. You're going from like nothing, you're sitting on, you're sitting, doing nothing. And the next thing you know, you've got 15 orders to do in like 2 minutes. It's, I think that was what surprised me the most. And, mostly happens every day, even though we're used to it, lunchtime is a very specific time where there's going to be a lot of people, I was going to be very busy, but it's still surprising, to the mind every day.
Thanks, Salman. David, what's the most common struggle you see your new franchisees face early on?
For us, the biggest struggle is actually getting that first customer. We are a national brand, but even allowing for that, not many people know who Caremark is. If I was a McDonald's franchisee, all I need to do is switch the lights on and everybody will come flocking. That's not true with us. You have to go out there and get the customers. So one of the biggest challenges, Jodie, is people and sitting in their offices waiting for the phone to ring for that first customer. And it doesn't happen. You need to get out there, you need to get involved in your community. And once you've got that first customer, you're on your way.
Good points. Good tips there, David. So, Lisa, what tends to take more time, energy, or resilience than people actually expect it to?
Okay, so I think actually it links in really well with what David's just said. It's getting that first customer, but actually it needs to be, it's the marketing, it's the advertising. And your franchisor should support you with that. They should give you templates.
They should give you things that will help you on social media, on Google, in AI, with all of those kind of things. But if you are implementing it locally, your national brand isn't going to drive you leads through the door. Like David said, Caremark is a national brand, Stagecoach is a national brand, it's a global brand. But actually, if you're not using it locally, if you're not getting out there on socials with your content, the pictures of your kids, not necessarily your kids, sorry, it's just with Stagecoach we do kids. So your product, if you're not out there with your product and your local marketing, you're not going to be making a splash in your local community. And no huge global brand is going to help you do that. You've got to get out there, and it's hard work. And then you've got to build the relationships with those customers, because you've got to keep them. The easiest customer is one you've already got, but you have to build those relationships. There are franchises out there, I'm sure, where relationship building maybe isn't as important. Ours definitely aren't one of them. You've got to be out there in your community building those relationships, and that's hard work.
Thanks, Lisa. Alan, coming over to you. We're very quiet, as in there. Are these challenges consistent globally, or is it just, does it differ market to market? Is it different in the UK?
It doesn't. It doesn't vary very much. Quite honestly, before joining I spent 20 years with franchisors in different brands, and it's absolutely true. It's the most successful franchisees are the ones who are in their communities the most. They are active, they're well capitalized, they're spending their time and their energy really building their business. And that truly is a bit of a universal truth. We see it in the States, we see it in Canada, we see it in Mexico, you see it in many different countries. Same brand, right? Same chicken in a box, or same, kids provider. But it's how active is a local franchisee in that community building it every day. That local store marketing is one of the most important things. The brand could give you, it could give you the overhead. It can give you the trademark that you need and the national advertising, but the local advertising is you in the community representing the brand.
Thanks, Sally. Thanks. Tim, so where do you see the biggest gap between expectation and reality in year one?
Great, again, a great question, Jodie. I think very often franchisees are expecting their business to become highly profitable in the first year of business. And the reality is quite often that they don't hit their mark. Quite often they're hitting the franchisor's mark, but it's not meeting their own personal expectations. I'd just like to, as well, come back to what Alan was saying. This and on the other speakers, local marketing is the pillar of success for franchising worldwide. One of the things which gets missed by many franchisees, and this is often because they may have bought into the passion, they may have brought into pit stands, but what they didn't buy into was delivering flyers through and pushing it through Peak of Skills. They didn't buy into going to networking groups, or didn't buy into sitting in and putting social media posts on in the evening. But that is a crucial part of the success of a franchise business. I've always said to people that I support, there are three pillars to the business. One is the daily operations, which is what mostly franchisees will buy into. One of the pillars is marketing, and the third pillar is having financial literacy within your business. Having all those three pillars covered, you've got the likelihood of a very successful business.
Thanks, Tim. So I'm going to stick with you now. Got another one for you. Just testing you today. Who shouldn't buy a franchise then? What are the red flags?
For me, that's quite an easy one.
You told me that was a good question.
In the US, I know that we talk about entrepreneurs buying a franchise. The word entrepreneur is used differently in the States than it is here. What we don't want to, or what doesn't make a really good franchisee, is a true entrepreneur. Somebody who is completely full of ideas, wants to do things in a different way, wants to change things. entrepreneurs and not what makes a good franchisee. An entrepreneur makes a good franchisor, but not a good franchisee.
Entrepreneurial spirit.
That's it.
I like that one. Salman, so what personality traits do you think would make owning a franchise and running a franchise really tough for someone?
I'll say not being comfortable working with a system of autonomy. You know, I would also say underestimating, you know, the discipline, the consistency it requires day to day. When you're buying into a franchise, you're not just buying a business, you're buying a system. And that system has to run day to day, whether you like it or not. On top of that, I would also say, if you hold the trait of, you know, instant gratification, a very psychological thing where you think your efforts will yield short-term results, you're going to spiral out of control. Franchising is a long-term game. A lot of people are not really comfortable with that.
Thanks, Salman. So, David, have you ever had somebody join Caremark that just wasn't quite the right fit? And if so, what have you done to change that and stop them joining again?
Yeah, so we have unfortunately had somebody in the past join us. It was a gentleman that his previous business life involved a lot of interaction with well-known household names and celebrities. And if you were to meet him, he's the most interesting person, and he can regale you with stories that you don't read in newspapers about certain celebrities. What he didn't tell me was that he suffers from panic attacks, and he suffers from anxiety, and he cannot be in a room with people. When he comes to our conference, he literally will sit on the floor at the back of the room because he's so nervous. And as we've been talking about a lot here, the success of a business is about engaging with your local community, getting out into your community. And if you're someone that doesn't engage with people in a room, you're not going to be successful. And in answer to your question, what do we do differently now? We do psychometric testing for franchisees. We also make sure that we ask questions to weed out whether it is an issue. You know, we talk to people about, do they do volunteering in their community? Do they get out there already and do community activities? You know, are they involved in their local cricket clubs and stuff like that? So we want indicators that they are comfortable and work already with their local communities.
That's great. Thanks, David. So, Lisa, I know when we spoke before this, we talked about the dip, right?
We did, yes, we did.
So, how much does mindset outweigh skill set in your experience? And tell everybody about the dip.
Yeah, I'll tell everyone about the dip. So if you are looking to go into running your own business, go and buy a book by Seth Godin. Yeah, Seth Godin. It's called The Dip. It is, everyone will go through it at some point. So it's, some people would call it buyer's remorse. It's that point when you think, what the hell have I done? And everyone gets, it might happen 6 months in, it might happen 6 weeks in, it might happen 6 years in. But at some point you're going to hit that dip. And if you are not a proactive and resilient person, you might not come out the other side. And also knowing that if you're in the dip, knowing when to quit is a really good thing too. And that book really guides you. It's only a little book, but it's really insightful and helps you get through those moments and prepare for them. But I think whenever you're recruiting, whether it's franchisees or whether it's staff, mental resilience and mindset is so much more important than the skill set. As a franchisor, I can teach you how to teach children. I can teach you the best ways to reach a group of 5-year-olds, a group of 10-year-olds, a group of 15-year-olds. I can give you ideas. I can give you ideas for marketing. What I can't teach you is at 2 a.m. on a show day, when you've got a parent telling you kids don't have costumes, that they're sick, that they're ill, your drama teacher's not turning up, what you're going to do in those really cool moments when everything's hitting the fan. If that's the point when you break down and can't cope, it doesn't matter what skill set you've got then. You need that mindset that says, no, I'm proactive, I'm going to do this, I'm going to focus, I'm going to get through this. And that isn't something that is easy to teach. It is something you can help encourage and empower as a franchisor. but it's not easy to teach it as a skill set. So having it, I think, is really vital.
Okay, that's really, really good. So Alan, just bringing you in again. What patterns do you see globally in people who struggle or fail at franchising?
I think the biggest pattern is underestimating the work, really underestimating the client that is involved. You see the people who are successful, and everybody sees the most successful franchisees. They see the most successful franchisees in a system. They go to a franchise conference or a franchise brands conference, and they see most successful franchisees up on stage being rewarded. And they don't necessarily clear, unfortunately, like the amount of work that was involved, right? So I think that it's truly, it really is everything comes down to how much is that person willing to put in, how much of the time are they really willing to put in, and it does pay off. I mean, I think that's the other truth, is you see that it does pay off. The people who put in the work, they put in the time, they build great teams. Every successful franchisee that I've spoken to, and I live in the States now and work with a lot of larger brands and larger franchisees who are running multi-unit, multi-brand operations. And every one of them will point to the members of staff, the people on their team who helped them make it that far. Every single one of them talks about their staff and their team. So it's how much work are they putting in, and then they're hiring a great team to help them get there and get to the next level.
That's really great, Alan. Thank you. So let's get into really like the reality now. So Salman, I'm coming back to you. When did it really hit you that this is your business to run?
Before entering in the franchise, I remember, going through the mentorship, giving me the day-to-day, going to other stores, seeing how they run, and they run very successfully. And I'm thinking, oh, let me implement it back to my store. And I go back to my store, before the doors open, a staff member does not turn up. A machine breaks down. Something is not working when it's supposed to be. Everyone's looking at me. I'm like, well, why they I see you now. I'm the boss now. Yeah, this is my business to run. The doors are going to open, whether you like it or not. And everyone's looking at you. And if that cares that much to you, then that's when you realize this is your business. The future of the business now then lies on your hands. Yeah.
Thanks, Salman. That's really quite funny, actually. So I'm going to throw this one out to Lisa and David. So to both of you. See, where do you feel that people rely too heavily on the franchise or the brand?
Okay. And I'm really sorry if I steal your thunder now. I think for me, it is the marketing. A lot of people come in, especially when you are a global brand, and they're like, it isn't like McDonald's. We don't just open the doors and people just flood in because they know what those golden arches look like. You have to put the effort in. And if you rely solely on your franchisor to market your business and get you leads through the door, it's probably not going to work. So for me, it's the marketing is a lot harder work than people think it is, and they rely on the franchisor maybe a little bit too much for that. Your local content is what's going to make this work, not your franchisor going into your area.
Is that the same for you?
Yeah, just picking up on that, Lisa. I think that buying a franchise is not buying a job. It's your business. You're the one that makes it work. You're the one that makes that business sing. So you cannot rely on the franchisor. We are not there to run the franchise for you. We are there to support you and help you. And ultimately, the success of your business is down to you, your efforts, your blood, sweat and tears that you put into that business. And you cannot rely on, or you shouldn't actually rely on the franchisor to do that. That is your job as the franchisee.
Thanks, David. So I'll come back to you then, David. What does a great franchisee look like in your network?
Being in care, first and foremost, we want our franchisees to have an empathy with their customers and a focus on delivering really high quality care. Lisa's talked about it earlier. You need resilience. It is not easy. There are bumps in the road, so you need to overcome those. You need to be a leader of people. You need to inspire and motivate your teams. There are a lot of qualities that you need to be a successful franchisee.
And what about you, Lisa? What does great live like for you?
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter what franchise you're in. Those core things that David's just talked about are the key things. You've got to be resilient. You've got to be proactive. You've got to be hardworking. Actually, our really good franchisees ask questions, because we are there as a franchisor to support and help you. But we've got 276 people just in the UK. I can't always know what each one of them needs. What I do want is for them to put their hand up and say, hey, Lisa, I need this. Where do I go? Who do I need for this support? Who can help me here? So asking questions is never a bad thing. And we have some franchisees that we never hear from. And then they say, but I was really struggling. Put your hand up and say, that's what you're paying your franchise fee for. That's what you're paying your monthly fees for. Let us know and we can support you. So yes, being proactive, yes, getting out there and working yourself, but also asking questions when you're stuck. There really aren't, and I've said it in all my training, there aren't any bad questions. And even when they're ones that get asked time and time again, I'll answer them time and time again, because that's what we're there for.
Can I just add on to something you just said there, because I think it's really special. It's one of the special things about franchising. But you said there's 276 other stagecoach schools in the UK. So you're one franchisee, but you've got 275 other people running exactly the same business, just in a different postcode, just in a different town, which is an incredible resource to a franchisee versus starting your own business. You could start your own dollar business, but then you got to learn it all from scratch. It's not only, I think that's the undervalued element of franchising, is it's not only coming from the brand, but it's the other franchisees who you're not competing with, right? You're not competing, you're working together, and you can share ideas, and you see that going cross platforms when people share ideas, and it lifts the whole system. Peer groups is something we see a lot of. So building peer groups, it could be regional peer groups, it can be stage of growth peer groups, it can be revenue peer groups, but it really helps share the ideas and build some accountability between franchisees amongst each other. Sorry, I just thought it was a really good point to make.
No, it was. I was just about to say all that as well, but it's okay. But in summary, obviously, these franchisees are really, really passionate, about what they do, and that's why they're really, really good and successful at what they do, and that's why we love to educate people about you've got to love what you do. You've got to be passionate about it to be good at what you do. So, Tim, coming to you. Feel like I should be on a game show or something. What separates those that grow, franchisees that grow, to those that plateau?
Another great question. There are, in my experience, there are just a few key reasons. One of them's been spoken about already, and that is mindset. A growth mindset, being able to push through barriers, all the challenges that business growth requires. Within there's a hidden challenge, and that's fear. It's fear of failure. It's fear of running out of cash. It's fear of investment. Lots and lots of franchisees who we just plateau and don't grow. If you dig down deeply, it's because they've got a fear of this failure. It's an interesting concept because they've invested money to start with. They've grown the business to a certain point to where they are now. And then suddenly they say, no, I can't go any further. There's a fear of employing staff. I was just talking to a franchisee only 2 days ago. She's doing really, really well, but terrified to grow any further because she'll have to employ a team member. Plateau. One of their colleagues is employing team members and smashing it out of the ballpark. So fear is a huge barrier to growth.
Thanks, Tim. So Alan, back to you. Is there a universal choice that you see in successful franchisees?
Yeah. really just I think hitting on everything that's been said. It's growing, having a growth mindset, having that growth mindset, being unafraid. I think to your point, Tim, of being ready to grow. You already took the first step. You went out for business on your own, so now continue to grow, have that growth mindset, invest in an amazing team, find those people who can help you succeed and get to the next level, and use all the resources available to you from the franchisor, but also from the peer groups and the other franchisees.
Thanks, Ella. So I'm going to come down with just like a one question for all of you to answer, because I want to leave you time for Q&A. I do have some pre-registered questions that we've had online, but hopefully we've got some in the audience as well. So one thing that people don't hear enough about franchising. Alan.
Hard work.
I didn't say one sentence, but one line. I know, elaborate. I've allowed 4 minutes for
100 words.
this. 2 minutes for you.
I think residents give you a test. No, hard work. They don't. I don't think people hear enough about the work. They hear about the capital that's required, the time that's required. I don't know that people hear enough about the amount of the 20-hour days, that are really required, 7 days a week. It's your business. It's only to be successful if you're doing it every day and thinking about it every day.
David?
It goes back to some of the points we're making, points about being local. So it's a national brand that you're buying typically, but it's a local business. So it is not Caremark worthy or Stagecoach Brighton. It's David's Caremark business. It's Lisa's Stagecoach business in Brighton. And that's really important. It's about the locality. It's about having that local connection. And franchising may be a national business, but at its heart is local community interaction.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to something that Alan said about peer groups and community. You're buying into, not buying a business, but you're buying a business model that is going to be your business. But what you also get, if you get it right, what you get is a community. You find your tribe. You find other people who are passionate about the things that you're passionate about. And that can, and this is going to sound so cheesy, I really apologize, but you kind of find a family. You find people that really resonate with everything that you resonate with. So you get a family as well. And I know franchisees that haven't been in the same franchise for 10, 15 years, and they still meet up together. They still go on holiday together. They still socialize together because they got so much more than just an income.
Salman?
I'll keep it, very short and sweet. Franchising helps reduce risk, but it does not reduce effort.
Oh, I like that one. Mic drop.
From my point of view, I think one of the things which is not spoken about enough is franchisors work really, really hard behind the scenes, what I call future-proofing your business. You don't have to worry about what the future looks like in terms of the business model. Franchisors are continually looking at technology, they're looking at market trends, they're looking at new products, new services to introduce into your business model. So what you buy into today is not likely to be the business that you buy into in 5 years' time. It will evolve. And that's one of the huge beauties of franchising. Somebody's got your back. They're helping to evolve the business over time for you. That is not spoken about enough.
Okay, thanks, Tim. So what I'm going to do now, because we've got 10 minutes, I'm going to open it up, see if there's any questions. We're not quite sure how we're going to do this. You might want to come up here so you can ask the question in the mic. Is that okay? I'm plugged in.
She's changed her mind about asking the question now.
Is that okay? Just so everybody else can hear it as well, because... Thank you. So, I think my experience as a mum, when in my 40s, I think a lot of women, new mums are looking for new opportunities, or things have changed, we're in a different space. When you're looking at a franchise, what should we be looking at? If we're here today, what would be a good franchise to look at? What should a franchise have in place so that when we're buying into something, all those systems are there? So if you haven't answered that, because I've always heard of everything, but yeah, thank you. It's a really good question in the words of Tim. Who wants to take that one? Don't all shout at once.
I don't know. I think it's you going back to what I said about asking questions, not just when you're a franchisee already and you're asking questions on how to run your business, but before you become a franchisee. So when you're a prospect, when you're going out there, ask every single question you possibly can about whether it's going to fit with what you want for your business. Because if you want a lifestyle business, if you want a business that's evenings and weekends, don't buy a McDonald's, because that's not evenings and weekends. You know, if you want a business where you've got time to go pick someone from school run, you need to find something that is going to work in and around that. So you need to be able to ask those questions of your franchisor and let them know what you want. As a franchisor, I will be honest with someone. If someone tells me what they want and I know my franchise can't deliver that, I will tell you. Because I don't know who said it, but someone said, this is a long-term relationship. Franchise agreements are typically 5 years as a minimum. We don't want anybody in the franchise who's going to come to us in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months time and say, this is not what I thought I was buying. I want to get this right, and we want to get it right for you as well. So ask all the questions and let them know what your goals are so that we can be honest about you as to whether our franchise will deliver that.
Yeah, just picking up on that, Lisa, I think honesty is the really key issue. Honesty from both parties, honesty as to what you're looking for, honesty and transparency from the franchisor. What we look for is we look for franchisees that align with us. And if you don't align with us, that's not a problem. There'll be other franchises that might align with you. But do not buy a franchise, and we don't want to award a franchise where we're not aligned, because it's creating long-term problems. It's going to impact your success in the business. And I think that's really important. And if it doesn't spell right, it doesn't feel right, walk away. And do not let any franchisor hard sell it. We talk about awarding, we talk about a process that goes over many months because we want to get the right fit. And if any franchisor puts pressure on you to sign a franchise agreement, I would say walk away.
Thanks, David. There's a question that came through online that kind of links into this. I'm just going to jump in. It's like, what questions should people make sure that they ask? I know we talked about make sure it's the right fit, but is it a question that they should ask?
I think there's lots of questions to ask, Jodie. I think that you want to ask about a franchisor's failure rate. You want to ask about the level of support. What is the support ratio? How many support staff to franchisees do they have? You want to ask whether you can meet and talk to existing franchisees. And don't let the franchisor cherry pick the best franchisees. I actually want you to go and see our worst performing franchisees, because I want you to come in without, not having rose-tinted spectacles and think this is a walk in the park. I think that there are so many questions you can ask, and don't be afraid to ask them, really. And if a franchisor doesn't want to answer them, is evasive, again, that is an indicator to walk away.
You've answered another question from the online there, which is, should I speak to existing franchisees before committing? Yes. All
Yes.
of them. Does anybody else have anything to add to this lady and the question that was online with regards to what they should be asking? No? Huh? Any more questions in the audience? Come on.
It's because we've done such a great job.
I don't believe that for 1 minute. They're just shy. You don't have to come up here and speak on the microphone. I will lip read for Kira if you like. No? No. Okay, I'll go back to the online questions then, shall I? How long should I realistically expect before I feel financially stable? Ooh. Alan.
How long's a piece of string? It's really a bit of that's a tough one to answer. I thought actually what Tim said very early on about being well capitalized. And I think I heard somebody else say it maybe yesterday at another event, being very well capitalized, twice as much as you think you're going to need, because it's going to, it could take twice as long. What happens if you hit a bump on the way? Are you ready to do those things? Looking at the past performance of other franchisees can help understand what other franchisees are doing. So I think speaking to to your point about talking to many, many franchisees in this system. And you should think about it when you're talking to the franchisor, not really asking any questions, you're interviewing them. Right? Is this a good fit? Are these people really reliable? Are they investing in their system? Because that's what it's going to give you the security going forward, that if you do all the things that you need to do, then you will get to that point of being financially independent and satisfied.
Was a tough one, which is why I gave it to you, Miles. Is there any more in the audience before I ask my last online question? No? Everybody's being really... Oh, go on. Might want to go to that. Do you want to go to that one? Or...
One thing somebody mentioned, can't remember.
You need to kiss the microphone.
Okay. One thing, I can't remember who mentioned franchisees should be looking at future systems and how to support their franchises going forward. What, especially you guys in the middle, what have you got lined up for the next 5, 10, 15 years, especially with all the changing of the workplace?
What an amazing question.
I'll go for it first. So for us, actually, and it may not come as a surprise, it's AI. So we are introducing it. There's lots of things that we're doing with AI. So that, for example, when we go out and do initial assessments with customers, we are now recording that, and the information from that conversation gets pre-populated into our care assessment forms, into our care plans. And what it means is that an exercise that would take 4 to 5 hours can now be done in literally minutes. And it's not about replacing staff. What it is allowing our staff to spend more time doing the core activities, which is looking after people. So AI is really important, and there are huge instances. What I would always exercise caution is don't use it for the sake of using it. Think about the benefit. Is it going to offer cost savings to your business? Is it going to improve your operating efficiencies in the way you do business? And I think there is a tendency just to get on the AI train and not realize actually what you're trying to work and what you're trying to introduce and what value you're adding from it. But certainly, from our business perspective, AI can make a huge amount of difference.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is not jumping on the AI train, because of course that's what we're looking forward to. We're looking at, okay, in 5 years, what is the environment going to look like? What is the climate going to look like? How can we make things easier for our franchisees from an administrative point of view, so they can do exactly what David said? Spend more time with the kids, spend more time with the parents, spend more time putting on shows and encouraging confidence and creativity, encouraging children. But one of the things that we really focus on is children getting away from screen time. So when you talk about putting AI into a business, what we're also trying to do is put the AI into the business to try and get the children not to be focusing on AI. So what we're looking for is, how do we future-proof the training for our children so that in 5 years' time, we still have children who can have a conversation like this, rather than hiding behind a screen. The only time that they could do anything is online. How can we really engage with what's happening now to make sure we've still got strong, confident, courageous children who can go out into the world, not necessarily within performing arts, but really make a difference and an impact. So yes, it's about operational efficiencies, but for us, it's also about how we use those things to benefit the end result, not just making things cheaper or making things quicker.
Thanks, Lisa. Salman, I know you said the middle three. Do you want to add to that, or you don't have to? No pressure.
What they've mentioned is it covers all aspects.
Okay, so we are running out of time now. So if any of you have got any additional questions that you're too shy to come up and ask on the mic, if you scan the QR code behind me, you can register to watch it back on demand, so you can ask any questions or get into any of the panellists, and we can get the answers for you so that we can cover them there. So hopefully what you've heard today isn't just interesting, but genuinely useful, because franchising can be brilliant route to building a successful independent business, but when there's real alignment between the person and the brand, between expectation and the reality, and between the business you're building and the life that you actually want. So Athlete Franchise, our goal is to continue supporting these conversations, helping people ask the right questions and making better, more informed decisions. For those of you here today, keep the conversations going. Ask the questions, sense check everything. And for those of you watching on demand, don't let this be a go deeper, speak to franchisors, ask the questions, get the answers that you want. because the more information you can get, the better you are. Salman, I can feel you wanted to say something.
Yeah,
Go on.
I just want to mention something. So, I mean, the function I'm in, it's in the food industry, and we're located, if you know, near London Bridge Station. So it's at the heart of central London. We're just right next to Tower Bridge. You know, it's a very attractive tourist place. I would say, I think one of the panelists they mentioned about failure, you have to be comfortable with failure. I'm not saying you will fail, but you have to be comfortable with the idea of failure. You know, I've been in that franchise for 15, 20 years. In the span of 15, 20 years, we went through a financial market crash. And then, a couple of years later, we went for a global pandemic where, Boris Johnson ordered everyone, to sit in stores, close their shops. And the aftermath of that, I've seen so many stores close down after, when they opened access limited to key workers, and then on everyone started going out again. So many shops closed down. So many other franchises, their support systems failed. So many branch closures. So I always say it's very important that you have a very, you have like a very strong support system. So within the franchise, you have to make sure you choose the right franchise, and also, like I said, you have to be very, very, very comfortable with the idea of failure. You have to be very comfortable with uncertainty. You have to be very comfortable with these challenges that come, and you got to be very persistent. You have to got to be so resilient. It takes time. Like, I wouldn't be here right now, if it weren't for, boys, and I wouldn't be here right now if it weren't for my mentality then, going through this financial crisis and going through a global pandemic. You still got to learn, you still got to adapt, you still got to overcome, you still got to innovate. Yeah.
And then they had to cut you off there. They're starting to crowd and wave at you because we're way over time now, Salman. But so yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that. So yeah, all that's left for me to say is just thank you guys for being here. Thanks for everybody who's joining us on demand, and thank you to my lovely panelists, including our sponsors for the event, Caremark and Stagecoach. Thank you.